Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode from IronmanHacks. I'm Andrew, and I'm happy to be here with Dr. Chris Myers. Chris, maybe can we get a quick intro?
And thank you for having me. So quick background. I was in the U.S. Army for 15 years. I'm a West Point graduate in 2004. Did 10 years. I was prior enlisted, then did 10 years as military police officer. Medically retired in 2012 after several tours to Iraq. And then upon retirement, I went to get my PhD in exercise physiology because while I was on active service, I raced semi-pro and then moved into triathlon and got into coaching from there. And so I graduated from Florida State with my doctorate in exercise physiology in 2018. I did some time with U.S. Navy doing human performance research, did about 5 years with them. And now I'm here in Germany, where I run the human performance optimization program for the United States Air Force tactical air control party units. And on top of that, and more likely while we're speaking, I'm the lead triathlon coach for Peaks Coaching Group. And I have the luxury of working with Hunter Allen.
Also, now you've just put out a book about training with power for triathlon. And that doesn't just mean the bike anymore, does it?
Nope, it's all three sports. The technology has come a long way. We've got power now for swimming. Biking's been around for years. So running with power has now become more developed. It's beyond its infancy stages, and we have a lot more advanced metrics than just running with power.
Right. So I think we don't have to talk too much about the biking. I think most of our audience probably has a power meter or understands that. Running to some degree as well. I mean, I use a stride. And then when it came to swimming, I thought, okay, the only thing I know of is the Vasa. Can you tell me if that's the only thing and what that is?
Yeah, so that's kind of a two-part question. I'll answer the first one. So there's actually a force meter. So there's a difference between a power meter and a force meter. A force meter just measures the forces generated, where a power meter measures in watts. A force is a Newton and a power is a watt. That's what our running power meters, bike power meters, and even the Vasa trainer is in. But the Train Sense, the Smart Paddle by Train Sense is a force meter, and we use that in the water. So you're able to look at your force curve while swimming in the water. So in using swimming terms, we have the ability to do wet side power training. And the Vasa trainer is a dry side. It's a swimming ergometer. So if anyone's probably been on a rowing machine before, just imagine being on a rowing machine where you're swimming and you have the ability to work on all four Olympic strokes on the Vasa trainer on the dry side. It's a great tool to have, especially during this age of COVID where the pools are open or not open. And that's how I've been able to keep with my training.
I like the rowing, comparison because it's easy to get your head around. It's a plane where you're down like this, and that I get, but what is the wet one? I mean, how does it work in the pool? You say it's a paddle?
It's a little paddle. I wish I had mine here with me. It's still in the box because we just moved. But it's the size of these two fingers. It's not very big. It's maybe 3.5 inches in length. And you can put one on each hand, and it just sits right here on the tips of your fingers. And it has a hole in it that allows water to flow through it. And inside the paddle, which is all Bluetooth, and it syncs directly to your phone, the water flows through. And as you're coming through the stroke cycle, we create pressure, and it reads that pressure as force. So in essence, it's the same thing that we do when we cycle our bike, right? So as you press down on the crank of your bike, you're producing pressure and force. And as we go around in that circle, that's how we create power. It's the same instance with swimming if you look at your arm as a bike crank and your shoulder as the center of the circle, that's how we can create power or torque. And that's how we can go from force to power when we finally get to a swimming power meter per se.
Very cool. Very cool. So basically your shoulder is like the bottom bracket and your arms the crank. Exactly. And then your pedal is where your cleats are in your shoe, basically. And it's measuring the speed or the pressure of the water that goes through it.
Yeah, as it goes through, yes. And so as we call that the angle of attack. And as your arm goes through that sweeping motion, from the extension phase through the catch, pull, and push phase, you're creating different pressure because of the different angles, right? And similar to when we talk about cycling, you produce the predominance of your pressure or your power or force between the 1 o'clock and the 5 o'clock position. It's the same thing. If I was laying down, so as I'm going from the catch, that high elbow, which is roughly the 1 o'clock, to when you're pushing down to your hip, you're generating the most of your power. And as you go through the push phase, you'll generate a little bit more, but over 90% of your power or your propulsion is generated through the catch and the push phase of the swim stroke cycle. And that's what this little device is able to measure.
Right. So now, do we have like FTPs for swim?
Well, definitely for the Vasa trainer, we do, because with that being a dry side, you have a heads up display in front of you, and you can read your power in real time, and you can do a functional threshold test, 20-minute power test, and use the same individualized cog and power zones that we've used for years in cycling and to an extent with running to create swimming power zones. Now, in the water, it's a little bit different because the technology is still new. It hasn't quite gone live yet. So we don't have like a heads up display like we do with the form goggles where the power or the force would read into a heads up display, but maybe in the near future, we'll have that. So
right.
Short term, yeah, in the water, a lot of the force measurements are after the fact, but whereas on the dry side with like the Vasa trainer, it's real time. And you can use your training zones.
Understand. So because you can see it right there in front of you. Can you just close the door? Sorry, my daughter's trying to do her homework and it's okay.
My family's upstairs. My little one was just running down through here, so it's all good.
Okay, so then how do we apply that to, how do you apply that to your training? If you can't see the power in real time, how do you know what you're pushing?
So it really part of it is if you have the ability to have the Vasa, let me take that back. In an ideal world, all right, we have a Vasa trainer and you have access to the pool with the Train Sense. Is understanding the feeling. The great thing with the Vasa trainer, it gives you that tactile feedback. It allows you to help feel the water per se. And so understanding how much you're pulling, getting that individual feel. For example, if you're pushing FTP on the bike, after you do that for a while, you have that feeling on the course and be able to do that. And a lot of that translates into the water as well. So, but with most of us, we can either choose one or the other, right? And so if you choose the Vasa, you're able to train typically what you would on the bike, get in there, increase your endurance, increase your power, and then try to translate by feel into the water.
I see.
But if you have the smart paddle itself, the power of that is in the analytics, because you can look at your force curve per each stroke cycle.
I see.
And so if you have the right force curve, you're generating the right power or your stroke is correct. Also, with this meter, you're able to look at your stroke path through the X, Y, and Z Cartesian planes. And so it gives you the ability to, am I stroking through properly? Am I crossing the midline?
Wow.
Am I doing the S? Little things like that.
It's a 3D visualization. And so a swim coach could say, hey, how come you're not pulling all the way down? I see you're losing like 10% down there or whatever.
So right now, I have my swim paddles with an athlete of mine in the US. So if a lot of people know, I'm in Germany right now, and I'm doing swim analysis with an athlete over in California with the swim paddles, and we're doing stroke analysis with these paddles. So I don't have to have someone go in there with a GoPro camera on a stick under the water to follow them. I have the data, and we see what we're seeing on the data patterns, and we're working drills to help correct what we're seeing.
Exciting. So in a way, it's actually more revealing than even being in the pool with the guy, because you can actually see quantitatively where he's stronger or weaker or what he needs to optimize.
Yeah, correct. So when I'm on the deck with a client one-on-one, I'm either having to take my iPad, stick it under the water, or go with a GoPro and be able to give that visual feedback, which is great. But now we can do it, via distance. That's one of the great things with the paddles as well. But the other side too is just it all comes back with the analytics on it, which I'm a big fan of when it comes to the smart paddle. You can look at stroke patterns. You can look at the force generated. The multitude of analytics is mind blowing. It really will take it takes anyone's swim training to the next level.
And where can we buy the smart paddle?
So it's produced by TrainSense, is the company. They're located here in Europe, and you can put it on Google, put in TrainSense Smart Paddle. It comes up, and the company is very good. Their customer service is top notch, and they've been around for about at least 4 years that I know of, and they're very well developed. And the technology is used by several of the European Olympic committees as well.
Amazing. Okay, well, I'll put a link down in the description. And last, Chris, where can we buy your book?
If you go to peakscoachinggroup.com, it's right on the main landing page right now. You can order it. It's being shipped. We've already got people who bought it, receiving it, loving the book. Getting good reviews. But the best thing about it, it's generating the discussion. Exactly what we're doing, and that's what this book is all about.
Okay, good. So we're entering kind of a new realm of triathlon analytics and metrics, and I love the numbers. I love this stuff. So I'm going to buy it. If you ship to Singapore, I guess you would, or maybe I'll get it on Amazon if it's out there too.
It won't hit Amazon for a few more weeks, but yes, we do. The book does ship internationally, and regular shipping rates. So
excellent. So thanks a lot, Chris. Everybody, the links are in the description for both those products, the book and the power meter for swimming. And Chris, I hope to talk to you again on when your second edition comes out.
Hopefully, definitely. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Cheers.